What's up, guys? This is Zach and Harley from Flash Out Media, and we're here to give you a quick recap of all the fights that happened this weekend, starting with UFC on ABC 4, Bellator, all the boxing cards, and we got quite a little bit of controversy when it comes to boxing, but we're gonna get to that. Harley, before we get into it, you got anything for the viewers?
Yeah, man. First off, we had a good weekend of fights, man. Real solid weekend of fights. Um, like Zach said, well, first of all, the UFC fights really good, man. They delivered, for a fight night card, they were really solid. Um, from top to bottom, it was a solid card, man. Johnson, we're gonna get into it, but Johnson Almeida really did his thing, really made a statement. You had Ian Garry, he jumped off the page at me as well. Bryan battle with a crazy knockout in his hometown. So that was the three biggest highlights for me on that card. Um, and then boxing, the Rolly Romero fight, man. Um, that was good fight while it lasted. Rolly was getting tested, and then like I said, we had a very controversial stoppage. Um, by in my opinion, one of the best referees in the game, and Tony Weeks. I've been a huge Tony Weeks fan for a long time. We're gonna jump back. We're gonna jump into that as well. But overall, man, a really solid weekend of fights as a whole, man. Really, everything was solid.
No doubt, no doubt. So we're gonna get into the first fight of the night. Labosa making a really impressive UFC debut over, the vet Clark. What's your thoughts on this fight?
Yeah, man. I wasn't. I picked Clark to win the fight. If I remember correctly, we both did. But like you said, Labosa did her thing, man. She went in there and look, she wasn't intimidated. She implemented her game plan and got the job done again against a veteran and Jessica Rose Park. So that was impressive, man.
Yeah, and like we said, Labosa would probably have the advantage in striking, but not only did she outstrike her, she out grappled her, she out positioned her. So it showed that like in the year she was supposed to make her debut and didn't, like she was working and she really well rounded her game out that she's not just a striker. Second fight, we
Yeah,
had Bryan Battle getting the knockout in 14 seconds. Not much
yeah,
to say about this one. I mean, Battle and Green just threw down. Battle didn't miss weight by 2 pounds, but we'll see if
yeah,
he
man.
keeps that 170.
Yeah, man. Like you said, it's not much to break down in this fight. But one thing I will say before we move on from this one is Brian Battle, man. He to me, I thought he'd lean more on his wrestling, but he came out fired in the shoot, man. He let the hands fly. And look, Brian Battle is a very good wrestler. I think as his career progresses, he's going to continue to lean on his wrestling and let that carry into victory. But man, Brian Battle's showing that he's not just a one trick pony. He can wrestle, he can strike, he's got good kicks as well. Man, Brian Battle can make some noise at 170. I find.
Yeah, man, and like I I won't just put him in the wrestling like category. Like I don't know if he's even wrestled in like college or anything like that, but I think he's one of these MMA guys who like just started in
Yeah, well
everything
around that.
and is just a
Yeah,
grinder and like he's really having a lot of success on the feet and I think you're gonna see a lot more out of that. I think he'll use his wrestling more to start stuffing shots. Next fight we had Bohm getting the technical split decision over Kim.
yeah, man. I actually missed this fight, so I mean I know who won, but I'll let you take the lead on this.
Yeah, I mean, early on, Bohm was able to get the takedowns. She was engaging more in the wrestling. Kim was looking really good striking, but would just fall into like Bohm's game plan. And she had, I think at the end of round 1 or 2, she did something where she flipped off Bohm and like the ref, took a point. And then I forgot something else happened. But without that point deduction, I think it would have been a draw. So interesting fight. Bohm gets her first fight in the UFC, and Kim is on a 4-fight losing streak in the UFC. So interesting to see where they go from there. Moving up the card, we have Douglas Silva de Andrade getting the unanimous decision over Cody Stamann.
Yeah, man. I think Stamen to win. Actually, I made a mistake when I circled when I did my picks. I actually wasn't paying attention and circled Deion Drives to win, but I'm not gonna go back on my word. I picked legitimately picked Cody Stamen to win. Just circled the wrong guy on my picks, so but it doesn't matter. Um, yeah, man. I picked Cody Stamen to win. I thought his wrestling was gonna carry him through. Um, but obviously it didn't. Yeah, we all knew Deion Drives was the better striker, and I felt like if he could keep it on his feet, that he would be able to get the job done, and that's what he did, man. Solid win for Deion Drives, and I think Cody Stamen will be back. Tough, durable guy, always comes to fight. Just really solid wins by Silver Deion Drives and that one.
Yeah, de Andrade had a good first round. Second round, Stamann started to come more alive. And third round, Stamann almost finished him, man. He had him hurt, but for whatever reason, took him down. And I kind of feel if he doesn't go for the takedown or stay on top, he has better chances of finishing the fight. Close fight, but they went with the more busier guy in D Andrade.
Yep.
Moving up the card,
Mm-hmm.
we had Karl Williams getting the unanimous decision over Chase Sherman.
Man, Carl Williams got the job done. Didn't surprise me. And I said in the podcast that I'm pretty sure I said this, maybe not. But I had a feeling that Carl Williams could outstrike Chase Sherman in some spots, and he did that, man. Um, I knew his easiest path to victory was to get to the ground, which if I remember correctly in that fight, he didn't try to get it to the ground, but
Yeah, I
for the
think
most part, they
yeah, you
go
go.
go ahead.
I think he was able
Um,
to get it like one takedown. Chase Sherman was defending a lot, which surprised me.
yeah, man. Which yeah, that's surprised me too. I wasn't expecting him to be able to stuff most takedowns, but it didn't. Also, I thought that Williams would be able to outstrike him if he needed to, and he showed that, which is good to see. Look, no disrespect to Chase Sherman, he's tough. He always comes to fight. Although he's not the a top tier heavyweight, um, we all know that he's a striker. That his bread and butter is a striking. So for him to be able to, for Carl Williams to be able to, hey, go to Plan B and be able to have to lean on his striking and really rely on his striking to get the job done, um, it's impressive, man.
Yeah, I will say this, like there were some spots where Sherman kind of hurt Carl Williams, so good to see him
Yeah.
get a little battle tested here. Even though Sherman lost, he did show improvement with takedown defense and
Oh
stuff
yeah,
like that.
absolutely,
And
absolutely.
Carl Williams was shooting a lot of takedowns, trying to get him down. He just couldn't. One thing that I like about Carl Williams is he has a really good gas tank for a heavyweight, and he's going to be able to push the pace. What he lacks in size, he makes up for that. So he's 2-0 in that heavyweight division. They need fresh guys, so real interesting to see what happens with him. Um,
Yeah.
Moving up the card, we had Matt Brown getting the knockout at 42 years old, tying the UFC knockout record with the Black Beast Derek Lewis over Cart McGee.
Yeah, man, you called it. Hey, Matt Brown, man, he's a savage, bro. And look, even though, Court McGee is, I think they're both on the back half of their career, it's still very impressive to see a 42-year-old savage go in there and put somebody's lights out, man. And like we said, going into this fight, he had a very close slash controversial decision in his fight before this against Bryan Boverino, where I thought, and a lot of other people thought that Matt Brown won that fight, man. So I mean, look, if you take away that win, if that fight flips and he gets the nod in that fight, Matt Brown's on a roll, man. Look, I'm not gonna sit there and say he'll run back to a World Title or anything like that, but look, it's crazy to say that. I think Matt Brown still got a little bit of tread on the time.
I think he got one fight left, bro. Realistically, there's not gonna be that many
Yeah,
Carter G's out there.
no, but what I'm saying is the guy. I mean, and you gotta, you're right. You gotta pick the fights for him, and be smart with it. But I
Which
mean,
the
a
UFC
guy
don't
that's 42 years old, huh?
which the UFC don't do.
Yeah. But a guy that's 42 years old, man, the guys, regardless, the guys are legend, man. And to go in there and do what he, tied the knockout record and put somebody's lights out this late in his career, impressive.
No doubt, no doubt. Moving up, a lot of finishes on this card. We had Alex Morono getting the guillotine in the second round over Tim Means.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, and that fight, man, really good, fun fight, competitive fight all the way around. Uh, Tim Means came out right away, trying to establish his range and his distance with those deep kicks up the middle, and I thought he was doing well. Um, First round, I gave Tim Means a slight edge. I thought he stole the round in the end when he kind of rocked Moreno at the end of the round. Um, but yeah, come out the second round, Moreno made some adjustments, and uh, and yeah, he made some adjustments, and it kind of looked to me like going into the second round that Moreno was slowing down, man. I'm sorry, Tim Means was slowing down. For what I don't know, he kind of looked. I don't know if he kind of got. I didn't think he looked tired after the first round, but it's like he kind of slowed down, and that allowed Moreno to kind of close the distance and start getting off more shots. Um, so yeah, so if I remember correctly, he hurt him, and then he jumped guillotine, and when he jumped for the choke, I'm screaming at my TV. I'm like, no, no, stay on the feet, stay on the feet. So I knew if he didn't get it, he would be Means would be on in his guard, and that's um I thought Means would have been better on the ground, but man, he freaking locked that choke in, dude. It was over with. Really impressive win by Alex Morono. He's another guy, man. I think he's won what 4 of his last 5,
He
if I
lost
can
his
remember.
last fight.
Yeah, but won 4 of his last 5.
Let me check. Yeah. Yep.
So look, yeah, he lost to Santiago Ponzinibbio. He did lose. He got stopped in that fight, but man, I mean, if you look at that fight, he was controlling the fight to the third round. Ponzinibbio uh, needed a stoppage to get that win. So all I'm saying is, look, Moreno's on a roll, man, and he looks to be getting better, in my opinion, every time out. So he's a guy to keep an eye on in that division.
Yeah, man. We finally get to see Morono with a full camp. Face a little bit of adversity, but who doesn't when they fight Tim Means? Tim Means is a gamer. He's been in the game for a while. One thing about Morono, man, I remember seeing Morono fight at one of these shows around here for LFA, and he won the belt by guillotine. He's always been known to have a nasty guillotine, nasty chokes, really good jujitsu. And he's one of these guys where, if you're getting beat up and you shoot on him, you're gonna pay for it. And that's exactly what he showed, man. So moving up the card, we had nonstop action again with Carlos Ulberg getting the first round knockout via check hook versus Ihor Potieria.
Yeah, man, good action fight. Like you said, beautiful chest hook, come right on top of the head, man. Um, yeah, I must say, Allberg, we both called Allberg by finish. Um, they were trading, they were banging, and Allberg caught him with that check hook. He kind of called it on stoppage as well, but hey, um, I I don't think Potieria would have done much anyway. I think it was on his way to getting stopped. So yeah, really solid win by Allberg, and kind of brought uh, Potieria back down to earth. After he stopped Shogun, it was a good stoppage and a big win for him to stop a legend like that in Shogun Hero. And I know he was in the heat of the moment. You pumped up, you jacked up, but from our from my own personal taste, look, man, I've been around the game. I've managed guys. When we get a big win, I celebrate. And I'm not afraid to show it. But at the same time, when he did that to Shogun, I feel like he kind of disrespected a legend. You know, I'm not saying he don't have your moment, but kind of pick his spots and tone it out a little bit. And Ulberg kind of brought him back down to earth. You know, I think Potieria wanted to be like a Conor McGregor type style guy. You know, with that aura around him. But look, Ulberg showed. Look, man, he got a long ways to go. Not shitting on the guy. Hey, good. He's a talented fighter, but you know, Ulberg kind of humbled him right there, man. And solid win for Ulberg. I think he's got big things coming as well.
Oh yeah, and we're gonna jump on that after we cover the card because he's one guy to keep an eye on. Another guy to keep an eye on, man, Ian Garry. You know what I'm saying? He gets the head kick victory over Daniel Rodriguez, and this was one where we were like, this is Gary's biggest test. He gets hit a lot. We're gonna see if he's really that good, and he's really that good.
Yeah, man. You know, I'm not gonna shy away from it. I picked against Ian Garry just because I knew the big step up for him, and we hadn't really seen him fight that level of competition in his career. But man, he not only won the fight, he freaking look, man. If I remember you saying like, look, we either gonna be right in this, or we gonna this will be the last time we pick against Ian Garry for a while. And I think we it's gonna be a while before we pick against him again. Ian Garry might be the real deal. Look, man, I know he might have to sharpen some other tools, but as far as stand up and his boxing, dude, he's crisp. He's very crisp. He's hungry. He's young. He's a guy that can sell fights. Um, he's got legitimate power. Um, he's from Ireland. I know Ireland's not a hotbed, but obviously that's the home of Conor McGregor. So Ireland's starting to catch on. You know, he's a guy that I really think the UFC can market and get behind, man. And to go in there on the main card and on the ABC and put uh put away against put away a very tough and game Daniel Rodriguez. Hey, that's a freaking statement, man. Good on him.
Yes, sir. So Gary keeps the streak alive, and followed up with the co-main event. We had Johnny Walker and getting a big victory over Anthony Smith. Not in the most exciting fashion, but did enough to get the nod and probably essentially win every single round. Thoughts on this fight?
Yeah, man. Another fight that I picked wrong. Um, I went with Anthony Smith, but hey, Johnny Walker went in there and did what he had to do. Like you said, it wasn't the most exciting fight, but I wasn't able to watch this one much. But I went back and watched some highlights and things of that nature. And talked to a couple of good friends of mine that watched the fight. From what I saw and what I heard in this one, uh, it looked like Anthony Smith was a little gun shy, man. Um,
I'll tell you why right now. Them calf kicks, man. He's getting his leg
yeah,
kicked off the whole fight.
yeah. So like you said, Johnny Walker went in there, implemented his game plan, blistered with a calf kick. Um, big win for Johnny Walker. Like I said, I didn't get to watch much of this fight, but overall, big win for Johnny Walker. He made a statement, and look, man, um, it'll definitely get him some big opportunities down the line.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to be in the top five now at light heavyweight. He's always been close, but now he's getting over the hump. And I think Smith, man, he's just a guy that hit or miss, man.
Hey,
To see
kind of a
him
gatekeeper type guy.
and to see him lose to a guy like Walker who's hit or miss, it just lets you like it makes you wonder like he's been commentating a lot, doing a lot of analyst stuff. Is he still 100% in the game? You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, right. Main event action. We told you it was gonna happen. Almeida, man, the real deal. No disrespect to Rozenstruik, but this was a obvious mismatch when it came to the ground, and he kind of showed it. Getting the missing the first takedown, getting the second takedown, and ultimately, getting the rear naked choke victory. What you think
Yeah,
about
man.
man?
Yeah, man. I went back and watched this fight. I didn't catch it live, but I went back. only plus and watched it the next day. And dude, not much to say. Like you said, Almeida is the real deal. Look, we still don't know how good his striking is, but honestly, dude, if he keeps this shit up, it don't matter. But look, man, Rozenstruik defended the first takedown. Second time, Almeida shot a double leg, and honestly, like he has a very good double leg. But to me, that wasn't even his best double leg shot that I've seen him do in his career, and he got it down with ease. You know, it was effortless. And once he got to the ground, I mean, it was over. You know, he got on top, softened him up with ground and pound, got him to turn over, got his back, and it was over with, man. I mean, that's really all there is to say. Um, where was both guys at in the rankings coming into this fight?
So I want to say Almeida was 12 and Rozenstruik was at number 9. Let's see if they updated the rankings yet. But that should get him at number 9, number 8, somewhere around then. And
Dude,
I mean, he's right in position. If John Jones
I'm,
does plan on retiring, he's right in position.
I'm gonna tell you right now, Zach. And look, I'm not gonna go too much into detail right now, but I think I made it ready for top five, dude. Right now.
So that's what we'll get into right now, starting with the main event, like what's next for these guys. Um, like you said, you want to get Almeida. He'll be number 9 at the least. And you got Spivak at 8, you got Volkov 7, you got Tai Tuivasa 6. I wouldn't give him Aspinall yet. I wouldn't give him Blades. And the other 3 guys, he's just not ready for that yet. But a guy between those 3, Spivak,
I think
Volkov,
Cosgrove
Tuivasa,
Boston.
he already called for Tuivasa's name at the press conference. Really smart. It would be very similar fight to what he just had. A guy with dangerous hands, but a very limited ground game. Do that on a UFC numbered main card, get his name more out there, and versus a guy like Tai Tuivasa, whose name is already big to UFC fans. So, what you think about a
Yeah.
matchup him versus Tai?
Yeah, you asked me the other day, to put my managerial cap on. And yeah, I'm gonna do the same thing here. If I'm his management team, he's on a roll right now. You still want to fight the smart fights, but you still want to continue to move him up at a good pace. I think, like you said, Ty Tuivasa is the perfect guy. Ty Tuivasa uh, is a very well-known fighter, fun fighter. Guy that everybody knows. He puts asses in the seat. He always comes to fight. Um, he was very close to fighting for a world title at one point. And I think, like you said, hey, I think it's very similar to the Rozenstruik fight, even though I think Tuivasa is a little more explosive. It's similar as far as, you know, uh, Tuivasa is a striker, and limited on the ground. And Almeida wants to get to the ground. So, look, I think it'd be a smart fight. Get Tuivasa, take care of business with him, and then see what you can do there. And I think my early prediction, I love Tuivasa. Been a big fan of him and probably always will be a big fan of him. But if Almeida fights Tuivasa, it's not even close, man. So Almeida gets to the ground and continues to do what he's been doing.
So like the other 2 guys, you really don't want to see him fight Spivak or Volkov, being that they're not big names, and if he loses, he kind of loses, that hype behind him. Volkov fought a very good wrestler his last fight, and dominated when it came to takedown defense. So I think skip over those 2, get the tie fight, and yeah, I think that's what's next for Almeida. I think we could both agree on that one. Next up we got Ian Garry. He's been very vocal, like how he wants to get to the title. He wants to fight 2 guys from 15 to 10. He wants to fight 2 guys from 10 to 5, and then 2 guys inside the top 5. So the first one was Daniel Rodriguez at rank number 15. Now he wants to go to the ultimate gatekeeper at the 170 division, and Neil Magny. He called him out. So Ian Garry versus Neil Magny. Not saying a prediction, but is that a fight that you would tune in to see?
Oh, yeah, man. I mean, shit. Neil Magny always brings it. What they get from me and Garry. And look, it's a stiff test. You know, Neil Magny. I'm trying to think what he did in his last fight. I'm drawing a blank. But we get from Neil Magny. You know, always a fun fight to watch. Gonna bring it every time. And look, it's not a gimme fight for England Garry. So yeah, continue to test him. Continue to move up that ladder. See what he can do. I like it.
For sure. And Neil Magny, Ian Garry hasn't ran into like a real good grappler wrestler. Most of his fights, these guys are standing in front of him. We're gonna see him tested with this one. Neil Magny is gonna press the action when it comes to takedowns. So I think we'll really see, another side of Ian Garry, and it'll ultimately be a good test for him. And Magny's ranked at 11. I know Magny does have a fight coming up. Let me try to see who he's fighting. So ultimately, he would have to win that one, but let's see. Yeah, he's fighting Philip Rowe next. So given that he does get past Philip Rowe, that would be the
And
fight
then
to pick right there.
and Neil Magny's fighting Taylor, bro.
Yep,
That's a good fight, by the way.
that is a good fight. But yeah. Next up, we got Johnny Walker. He's on a 3-fight win streak. When we look at the rankings at light heavyweight, Anthony Smith was at number 5. Walker was at number 7. So at the least, he's at 5, and he has Blachowicz ranked ahead of him at 3. You have Ankalaev at 2, 1. Jerry, you have Alexander Rakic at 4, but he's still injured. You do have Nikita Krylov right above him. I think Walker versus Krylov would probably make the most sense.
Yeah,
I wouldn't put Walker against the top 3 yet because they
no,
probably got to fight
no,
each other.
yeah, and also, again, Walker put together a really solid victory against Anthony Smith, but he's still kind of been hit and miss. Even though he's on a streak, I wouldn't rush him to the top right now. Try to keep his momentum going slowly, still try to help him climb that ladder slowly. Um, so the Krylov fight, at least for him in his camp, makes total sense in my opinion.
No doubt, no doubt. Next would be Carlos Ulberg. I want to say he's on a 4-fight win streak. Yeah, 4-fight win streak. Let's see what the rankings at 205. You have 15 Dustin Jacoby, 14 Jimmy Crute, 13 Khalil Roundtree, 12 Dominic Reyes. Would you want to see Carlos Ulberg fight any of those 4 guys right now, or do you think it's a bit too early?
If now we talk from a fan's perspective or from a strategic
Just
perspective.
a realistic, what's gonna happen next.
Ah, now I'd give him one more. I'd give him one more before he fights one of those guys. But whenever he does fight those guys, I'd give him Jacoby because I'm gonna tell you right now, Jacoby is a world class kickboxer. We covered Jacoby a lot on this show on our podcast lately, so you guys should be familiar with him as well. But I think that'd be a fun fight. Both guys like to strike. Both guys have legitimate power. Um, I think Jacoby's a little more technical on the feet. That'd be a fun fight and a winnable fight for Ulberg. But I'd give him a fight or two before that, just to make sure. I think he's trending in the right direction, but I don't think you have to rush it either.
So for Ulberg with me, he's 32 years old. So, it's for me, it's now, you know what I'm saying? You gotta get him in there now. And
I didn't realize he was 32, to be honest.
Khalil Roundtree is ranked at 12. I think that's a banger of a fight. They both stand up. And if you want to get Ulberg into the rankings, that's the best matchup stylistically. I think Dustin Jacoby is probably a harder fight than Khalil. So
Yeah.
I think
He's
that
in
would
the
be a banger
kickboxing.
on a main card or a last prelim on a big UFC fight card. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. That makes sense.
All right. When it came to these fights, man, like who would say stood out the most, Almeida or Ian Garry?
I mean, shit. You really gonna let me pick? I mean, I guess Almeida just because he fought the guy that was ranked higher,
Yep.
but I mean, shit, dude. I mean, they both. You can't ask for more out of either one of them. You
This is
know.
what I say. Almeida, we knew he could do whatever he did. Like we predicted that.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Garry was more of a shocker.
yeah, I feel like Garry had the better performance because like he he finished a guy
Yeah,
who usually, that's in his area. Dana Rodriguez keeps the fight standing up. We've never seen him be finished, and for Ian Garry to do that, man, that was really impressive.
I agree. And I'm gonna take it a step further, man. Ian Garry, dude, to go out there on the platform that he did and to blister Daniel Rodriguez. I mean, look, it's not that he won. You understand? Like if he would have went out there and won by decision, hey, props to him. He did his thing. He got a solid win. But he blistered Daniel Rodriguez. It wasn't even middle of pieces, and he wasn't supposed to make it look that easy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Look, to the UFC's credit, I know sometimes, like Patty Pimblett, for example, they're bringing him along really slow. And they built Ian Garry up as well. But this was not a gimme fight right here.
He showed he could
This
back.
was a fight. Oh yeah, this is a fight the UFC put him in on a big stage, big platform on ABC to say, "Hey kid, we it's not a freaking grueling fight, but you're gonna have to come correct. You're gonna have to show us what you can do." And man, to go in there and pass the test the way he did, dude. I mean, I watched that fight on my phone. I wasn't home for that one, but I made sure to tune in on my phone. And dude, my freaking jaw hit the floor. Like that was impressive, man.
So, you had four guys who really stood out. You had Ulberg, you had Walker, you had Garry, and you had Almeida. Starting with Ulberg, where do you see his ceiling right now? Um, he's not ranked right now. Do you see him being a top 15 guy, just sticking around in the rankings? Do you see him fighting for a number one contender fight? Do you see him challenging for a title, or do you see him as a future champion? Where do you have him right now at his ceiling?
And it's still in here definitely being a top 15. Uh, I don't know if that's his ceiling. I just don't want to say too much right now because he still hasn't fought like a ranked guy,
Right.
you know. But as far as look, dude, his stand up is legit. Um, I like to see a little more out of his ground game, even though he has no reason to show it right now. Um, but it all depends for me. It all depends on even if his ground game is not good, when he fights a grappler or a true wrestler, things of that nature. Can he stuff the takedown? Can he work his way back up to the feet? Can he keep the fight in his world? And if he can do that, he's legit. His hands are legit. It's just I like to see more aspects of his game before I. But he'll easily. I think he's a top. He could definitely get into the top 10.
Yeah, I probably have him at top 10 right now until we see a little bit more from him.
Yeah.
Next up, Johnny Walker, man. You see him staying at the top five for a little bit, falling back down, fighting for a number one contender, getting the title. Where you see him?
I hate to say, really solid win by Johnny Walker. I'm not taking anything away from the guy. He's on a 3-5 win streak for a reason. Um, but I don't know if he's legitimately a top five level fighter yet. Now, if he goes out there in his next fight and gets the job done, yeah. But like you mentioned already, he fought a guy named Anthony Smith. Nothing against Anthony Smith. A good fighter, tough guy, always comes to fight. Everything of that nature. But I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. Anthony Smith might be not on his way out, but more focused on the commentary aspect, more focused on the analyst world. when he fights a guy in the top five that's really shooting for that title shot, really trying to take the next step in their career, will Johnny Walker be able to get it done? I'm still undecided on that yet. If I had to pick a side right now, I think he falls out of the top five eventually. But like I said, he's there for a reason right now. And until he falls out, props to him, and we'll see what he can do. You know, he'll get some big opportunities here soon.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. Next up, we got Ian Garry. Do you see him just being a top 15 fighter or eventually, top five or number one contender or future champ? What you see for this guy?
I'm not. I'm gonna take a little step back. I'm not gonna say future champ, but I really think at the minimum, Ian Garry fights for a world title. I really do. I think. Look, even though we haven't seen a lot of his grappling and a lot of his all of that nature, the little flashes that we've seen and we've covered him before, you know, when Ian Garry gets into the cage, he looks like he's getting a little bit like his game is evolving a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. You know, even though we haven't seen a lot of his grappling and a lot of his ground game, he looks like he's not just sitting on these wins and just trying to just um he's not just getting these wins and going sit on his couch. You know, he's getting these wins, going back to the lab, trying to fix some holes in his game that he might have. And look, I think Garrett's young. He's hungry. He's still got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, in my opinion. I think I think the kid at least has a legitimate shot to fight for a world title.
I say right now I give him top five. And I think after the Magny fight, if he does fight Magny or somebody with who's gonna force it on the ground, I think we'll be able to tell a little bit more. But right now, I just can't put that much stock into him without seeing it hit the mat versus a guy
Yeah,
who's known to take it there.
that's
Um,
fair. That's fair.
Last one we got Jailton Almeida. Top 10, top five, fight for a number one
Well, well,
shot or
well, world champ. And I'm gonna tell you now. Listen, it all depends on what John Jones does. You know, if John Jones retires world champ, and I know it's crazy, and I'm still. It sounds crazy for me to say this. I'm gonna kind of contradict myself with this thing because I spit out world champ so fast. It's in a way it's hard for me to say world champ because we haven't seen him have to stand up and strike with somebody. But dude, and look, I'm not comparing him to Khabib, so don't people. And I'm not talking to you. I'm just saying our audience. Don't be coming on my Instagram, my Twitter, and all this. Saying, oh, he compared him to Khabib. He did. No, no. But look at Khabib. Khabib never had to freaking strike. Khabib took guys down and strangled them on his way to a world title. And nobody cracked the code on Khabib. I'm not saying Almeida is Khabib. Trust me. But we've seen guys with their grappling heavy style be so good at it that they don't need nothing else. And I think Almeida's one of those guys. Until somebody can prove me otherwise, for him to just take down these heavyweights at will, look, Rozenstruik doesn't have the best ground game or the best takedown defense. But Rozenstruik's not a baby either, you know. I mean, he took the guy down effortlessly. And it don't matter who you put in front of the guy. I feel like I feel like he can win a world title. I really do. I really do.
so. I'm gonna say this. I think Almeida's been doing what he's supposed to do. I think he does fight for a world title. I don't know if he wins it though, because if you look at that top four, top five heavyweights, these guys can defend,
Yeah,
shots.
you got Uncle Live and all those guys too.
And then you look at the fight with Rozenstruik. Rozenstruik did defend the first takedown. So, when you're shooting against a guy like Tom Aspinall who can wrestle and get you out of there on the feet. When you're shooting a guy against Volkov, you're shooting against a guy, Pavlich, who has a Sambo background. A guy like Curtis Blades, who has a real wrestling background. We're not even counting Jones. We're saying Jones is out the picture by them, but I mean, those are tough guys to take down, and I don't like what I'm seeing when Almeida doesn't get the takedown. He's shooting right away. So if he's forced to stand
Yeah,
with one of these guys, it's probably not going to be good. So I will say he does fight for a title, but I'm not sold on him yet that he wins it.
yeah, and that's fair because, like I did say, like we hadn't seen him have to strike. You know,
Right.
look, if he's able to get the takedown, if he's able to get the takedown, it's over. But like you said, can somebody force him to strike? And if they can, how will he react to it? That's the biggest story for him.
Right, right. So that was UFC on ABC 4 card. Um, Good finishes. We had prospects, passed a lot of tests. Next up we had the Bellator 296. I'll very briefly go through the main card. We had Douglas Lima, his first fight at 185, beating Castelo Vanstinas. Close fight, but was able to win the last 2 rounds via, blasting the kicks and getting his hands going. So good to see him back on the winning streak. I think it had been since 2019 since he got a dub. So, and then we had the co-main event in the 155 tournament. We had Brett Primus beating Mansour Bonnery. Bonnery was supposed to be a guy, who was going to be promotable in France. The fight was in France, and Brett Primus takes this on short notice, goes all 5 rounds, and beats Bonnery in a very close fight. So good to see Brett Primus at 38 years old, man, still doing the damn thing. Moving up to the tournament to fight Nurmagomedov. So that's gonna be a hard fight for him, but he gets the win. And then main event action, we had Fabian Edwards, getting the unanimous decision over Gegard Mousasi. Pretty much dominated the fight. Mousasi just does not let it go anymore. So Fabian was just more active, and when Mousasi did shoot, he was able to get it to the ground, but just didn't wasn't really too active in this fight. Um, Fabian Edwards is gonna get the next title shot at middleweight versus Johnny Eblen. Johnny Eblen versus Fabian Edwards. Let's say you have a busy night. Is this something you're gonna pass up and watch some Bellator fights to watch Fabian Edwards, Leon Edwards' brother, fight for a title against Johnny Eblen, the champ?
Uh, if I'm home, I'm gonna definitely watch it. Uh, but you say just if I have something to do and like
Right.
if I'm not home, uh, I probably would. To be honest, I probably would. At least keep an eye on it. Try to keep an eye on it somehow.
So, if Edwards would win, we'd have two brothers that, UFC champ and Bellator champ. So that'd be pretty cool. Um, Moving up to the top rank card, we had a lot of familiar names fight. We had Amando Vargas. You know, everybody knows Vargas fought Shane Mosley, all these guys, the best of the best. He has 3 sons, and Armando, I want to say, is the middle. He won a 4 round decision pretty easily, dropped his guy as well with a body shot. Next we had Ruben Villa getting the TKO in the 5th round. He looked,
Told you, Villa's good, man.
oh
Told you.
yeah, he looked really good. Gabriel Flores Jr., he was coming off of 2 losses in his career when he was supposed to be a top prospect. He gets the knockout in under a minute. It only took 1 punch, and he was able to get a very quick win. Jason Maloney gets the majority decision over Vincent, but it should have been unanimous. If you watch the whole fight, it definitely wasn't. One judge scored it a draw, definitely wasn't a draw, but he gets the win, and ultimately he gets the belt at bantamweight. So good to see him finally get the strap. Janovic, he passed the test with flying colors. This is my first time seeing Janovic. He's 12-0 now. Second round stoppage. This guy hits hard and he can box. He's at 160, and the commentators were saying how he's probably one of the most ducked opponents out there. And I honestly could see why. When it comes to the 160 weight class, when you have a guy that can box and has knockout power. Who would you
Yeah,
like to
can do
see this
both.
guy fight?
Mm. Where's he at right now? Like, is
He's
he
at
ranked?
160. You know, he's calling out Charlo. He's calling out the Benavides, Canelos, the
Hey,
anybody who can fight.
let's see him fight Charlo. I mean, I don't know where he's ranked, but
Well, he's got a belt.
oh, he's got a belt. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Hey,
160.
let's see him fight Charlo. Yeah, let's see him fight Charlo.
So another guy, I don't know if you're familiar with him, but Jaime Munguia, he's
Yeah,
undefeated.
yeah.
You know, they're
Very
in the same
familiar with
weight
Jaime
class.
Munguia.
Munguia is mandatory for him. I think that would be a beautiful fight, man.
Yeah. Nah, see, I didn't know Munguia was mandatory. So yeah, if that's his mandatory, go with that fight. Now, if he were to give him Munguia, would you give him Charlo?
I don't think they fight him, man.
You don't think they fight Charlo, or you don't think Charlo fights him?
I don't think Charlo takes that fight with this guy,
Yeah,
especially
yeah.
after what he did to Butler, man. Um, you know, we had another boxing card on Showtime. We had,
So,
so, you know, at 40 years of age, take on Rolando Romero. You know, I watched this fight, man, and he dropped Rolly in the second round. It got stopped in the ninth round. I'll say this, dude. Out of all 9 rounds, I might have gave 2 to Rolly. You know, Barroso was in this fight the whole time.
with the 10-8
Outstriking.
round in there, man.
What's up?
I said with the 10-8 round in there, by the way. That's even
That's
worse.
what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
like at the end of at the eighth round, Barroso, you know, they gave Barroso a 10 count. He got hit pretty solid, but it didn't wobble him. It didn't like, you know, it wasn't enough for a 10 count. So Rolly keeps throwing a lot of punches, and like follows with a hook that kind of pushes his head, and they give Barroso a 10 count when he got pushed off balance, which was crazy to me. Ninth round, Rolly's starting to let his hands go. He's probably getting the better of him in that round, but it's still nothing crazy. And Rolly gets him in the corner, throws about 6, 7 shots, maybe 2 land, but they didn't land flush. It grazed them, and they stopped the fight. Um, I couldn't believe it. Probably the worst stoppage I've ever seen in all combat sports, not just boxing. You know, what are your thoughts on this, man?
Okay, so uh, drink your Gatorade. Go ahead and take your sip of Gatorade. Go ahead. You got some? Because we're gonna be here for a while. So just okay. First of all, if you didn't see the stoppage, go on Showtime Boxing's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. It's there. Everybody can see it. Okay, that's number one. You don't have to watch the fight. Just go watch the stoppage. Number one. Number two. Okay, now we're gonna get into the meat and potatoes of it. Like Jack said, before the stoppage, before that sequence that they decided to stop the fight even happened, Rolly was losing the damn fight. Late in the fight, you said it was in round nine. Round nine. So in our opinion, both of Zach and I's opinion, if Rolly wanted to win that fight, he had to get a stop. Okay? He had to stop his opponent. With, hey, maybe he could have. It's boxing. One punch can change the whole course of the fight. I think Rolly would have had a punch to say. But the way the fight was trending, odds are that wouldn't happen. Okay? So then you go to the sequence that ended the fight. Keep in mind, Tony Weeks was the referee. Now, I'm a huge boxing fan. I know you know a lot about boxing as well, Zach. You know who Tony Weeks is, correct?
Of course,
Okay, can we agree? Can we agree that Tony Weeks, high top, Tony Weeks is one of the best referees on
was.
the on yeah was coming into this fight was one of the best, most well-known referees on the planet Earth.
Yeah, I mean, was. I mean, the
Yeah,
only thing that I can see is in the fighters meeting. the commission came all together and they're like, hey, look, man, this guy's 40 and Rolly can crack. Keep an eye on it.
No,
That's the
it's
only thing I
well,
can see, bro. That's the only thing I can see.
okay. And you know what? If the commission said that, I understand. Keep an eye on it. What? Okay, Zach. What is the referee's number one job in a fight?
To protect the fighter. But I'm
Hold
just saying
on,
that's the
no,
out of 100 ways to see it. That's the only one way I could see why they would stop that fight. But even then, I still don't see it. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, but okay, yeah.
That's
But
the only
okay,
reason I see him getting trigger happy.
oh yeah, no, I understand. I understand. Just let me peel back all the layers here. So the referee's number one job, it don't matter if you're 20 years old or 40 years old, 50 years old, or anywhere in between. The referee's number one job, regardless of what the commission tells him to do, is to do what?
Protect the
Say
fighter.
again. At all times.
Right.
So as the referee, it could have been Rolly in that son of a bitch that was getting cracked and getting blistered. If he's hurt, wave it off. You got to. The fighter, the number one priority for the referee is to protect the fighter. I understand that. But listen to me. You can't use that excuse. And I'm not saying that you are. You brought up a good point. But I'm just saying in general. You cannot use that excuse to stop this damn fight. You cannot do that. Dude, he wasn't even there was an exchange. And to make it worse, guess who threw the last punch of the damn exchange?
Yeah. Barossa.
Barroso finished the exchange and caught Rolly.
So
Rolly was firing. Rolly was firing back, and to me, it looked like he missed Barroso.
yeah, I mean, dude, none of those shots connected flush.
And Barroso was hitting him, was connecting with Rolly. And I look, listen, guys, I don't think that sports are rigged. I do not. Let me say this again. I do not think that this fight was quote rigged. I don't think that it was rigged. But when you have a world title fight, mind you, and don't get me wrong, it wasn't a huge fight, but it was for a world title. When you have a world title fight that gets stopped in the manner that this fight got stopped in, Zach, this is I texted you after I saw this. This kind of stuff is the reason why people say sports and combat sports are rigged. It's because of things like this. This is absolutely 100,000% horrible. You took a guy in 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 Barroso that was coming into being an opponent, okay, at 40 years old. And if I'm not mistaken, Barroso never won a world title. So this was that man. Listen to me, Zach. What do fighters when you start fighting? What do fighters say they want to do? What's most of every fighter's dream? Their one dream when they start fighting is to what?
Yep. Won a world title.
Win a world title. This man got his one and probably only shot he'll ever get in his career to fight for a world title. Stepped up and took it against a guy that was supposed to get him out of there with ease. That was supposed to stop him. The guy went in there, did his thing, dropped Rolly Romero, was controlling the whole fight, scored the 10-8 rounds, everything in the books, was 3 rounds away from getting it done, and the fight got taken away from this man. Let me
Yep.
tell you something. If 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 Barroso was my fighter, and you gotta keep it classy, I understand this. But if Barroso was my fighter, dude, I would have raised 10 kinds of hell in that place. Because you took the thing that my fighter worked for his whole life and his whole career since he started fighting, since he learned to throw his first punch. He was 3 rounds away, and you robbed that man. And you supposed to be one of the best damn referees in the business? No, man.
So
That's terrible.
let's paint a picture for people because like you said, people have this misconception that fighters throw fights. Not saying it didn't happen way back in the day, because it
I'm
did.
sure it has.
But now with social media, all eyes on the sports, we've seen in the UFC, guys can't just throw fights, man. The FBI gets involved, all kinds of crazy shit, can go left. You just don't do that. Maybe in regional level, local level, it happens. Like for sure it happens. But at the highest level, it doesn't happen how people think it happens, right? You
No,
have two
no.
fighters, right? You have one you're trying to promote and another opponent to make the other guy look good, right? So I'm gonna paint the picture for people on the outside to understand this, that your definition of rigged and our definition of rigged is completely different, right? They think people
Exactly.
are throwing fights. That's not happening at the highest level, man. At the highest level, it's set up for the guy, the promotable guy, to keep winning, to keep
To
making
get
everybody money, the promoter money, the platform money, his self money, the manager's money,
the fans in the seat.
everybody. You want that guy to win, right? He's bringing in the money. So let's say Rolly's that guy, right? He has name value. Barroso is the guy at 40 years old. They brought on short notice to get Rolly a fucking quick title to where Rolly now has a title. He's on Showtime, and they can make a big fight with somebody else like Ryan Garcia or Regis or any of these names at 140. With Barroso, if he wins this belt, in their eyes, keyword their eyes, they're losing out on money. So you're gonna see bullshit like this happens because even with the commission, dude, the commission gets paid. You know what I'm saying? When anybody has an event, they get paid. They get a percentage of ticket sales. So like it's just it's not cool to see, man. Especially a guy like Barroso. In my eyes, that's why I said my eyes. You get a guy at 40 years old to win a world title. I mean, that's the American dream. You could sell that shit. I mean, he's probably
Yeah.
gonna beat these top guys, but like you now have a story right there. With Rolly, he got knocked out by Tank. He's not looking good at this fight. People are seeing right through it. Like, why not let that guy? You know what I mean?
Yeah. The Roller had two back-to-back chances coming out for loss. Coming out for world title fight, lost. The fight for another world title. Bro,
Right.
they trying to
But
give
we're
you the
trying
world
to
title.
we're trying to paint the picture for the outside viewers to see that
Oh yeah.
this is why they're
Yeah.
doing it. You get a guy off of a loss to a big name. So while he's still relevant, let's get him a title at 140 and then to set up a big fight, the biggest fight they can make with early, not a big fight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's just crazy to see that, people can talk and say what they want about UFC and the pay. And honestly, the UFC pay is getting better. But when you look at this shit, you understand why the UFC put everybody under one umbrella to fight each other. And you never see this crazy shit happen. And
Hell no.
even if something crazy happens, Dana White will come to the press conference talk
Oh
about it.
yeah.
It's man, I don't know, bro. I don't know. That was crazy to see, man. And look, uh Rolly was my last guy in my parlay. So he wins, I win money. I didn't even want that money, bro. I swear to God, I was still mad. You know what I'm saying? I don't even
Yeah.
want
It turned out that 20 Weeks was the last guy on your parlay, not Roller. 20,
it.
20 Weeks was they came through for you.
And the crazy thing is after that, sometimes when they have crazy calls, I'll interview the ref and see what he's seen or whatever. Bro, Tony Weeks was like, I'm not doing any interviews. I'm out. The commission was like, I'm not staying for any interviews. I'm out. So that was like big red flag.
Wow. See, I didn't even know that.
And like unfortunately, nowadays something crazy happens 3 days later, people forget about it. I feel like this is gonna be one of them things, but I'm glad we
I
we
ain't
got a
forgot
little
about
bit
it.
of a platform to talk about it.
Dude, anybody, anybody that can justify what happened, you're wrong. You're one. Zach, let me ask you this, bro. Now listen, we're professionals. Now, when we get off this podcast or when when we're just on the phone having a private conversation, we say it like it is. We say exactly how we feel. But when we have a guy fighting on the show now, don't get me wrong, we haven't had to deal with this ever. Well, I haven't had to deal with a robbery like this, like, at least of this magnitude before, and I don't think you have either. But I'm saying, if you and I are working together and we get a guy an opportunity to fight for a world title on national television, okay, and you and I have been grinding with this fighter for years, and we sitting there, we are guys fighting the best fight of his damn life, and we 3 rounds away. And that's not what's happened. What do you do?
I mean, bro,
What would be your initial reaction?
I can't. There wouldn't be no reaction. There'd be only action, man. Cause ain't no way, bro. And like even the coaches were going crazy, dog. Like you could see after that shit happened, bro. The coaches just in the air, like what? Like what the fuck? It's just
It
mind.
makes the coaches want to fight somebody.
Hell yeah. But when you're going in there, I'm sure they already knew that there's a chance they can get fucked. I don't think they would thought they was gonna get
But
fucked
not
that
like that, dude. Listen, how many you can go a step further? Say if this fight would have went to the scorecard, okay? Fight goes all 12 rounds, and it was close, and it was close, and they say, yeah, we think Barroso edged it out, but they gave it to Roland, and that's wrong. But
pause
it's
real quick.
okay, it's close.
Pause. On the scorecards, bro, they had Barroso winning. They showed the official
On all three
scorecards. They had him
cards.
winning, dog. So like
By a landslide.
they only gave, I think, Rolly maybe 2 rounds, 2 or 3.
So on the official cards,
Yeah,
Roland had to get a stoppage to win.
had to. Or get another knockdown.
Yeah, but there was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He had, he couldn't just go to decision and win that fight, correct?
It would have been hard.
Mathematically impossible without a knockdown.
Yeah, he would have had to get a knockdown.
It'd have been impossible for him to win. All the next rounds would have been possible for him to win without a knockdown.
Right.
But that's what I'm saying. If the fight would have been close, if it's a close fight and they give it to Rolling, and because the guy's coming in as an opponent, hey man, when you come in and you fighting a fight of this magnitude and you the B side, you got to put it on this guy. You got to leave no doubt in his damn mind that you want to fight. And I get it in some instances. I can rock with that in some instances. Not all the time, but depending on the circumstances, okay. But in a situation like this, hell no. Period.
So, we got Rolly, who's a champ now at 140.
Yeah.
Who he called out Ryan Garcia next, which could happen. You got the other champs at 140. You got
Oh,
Regis, you got Puello, and then you got on the undercard. They had a guy, Kenneth Sims. He won a fight at 140, and he was calling for a title shot. So, I mean, what do you see next for Rolly? Not what you want next. What do you see next for Rolly?
okay. Yeah, I'll tell you. Excuse me. I'll tell you what I see next, and you tell me what you see next, and then I want to cover another. Well, once we finish covering all our original topics, I want to touch on something else that I just remembered that I forgot to bring up to you. And I don't know if it's on your rundown, but if not, I want to bring this up. But before we do that, um, what I think is next for Rolling, give him Ryan Garcia. Shit, Ryan Garcia. Listen, Rolling lost to Tank and got a world title fight, correct?
Yep.
Ryan Garcia lost to Tank and got a world title fight. And I think Ryan was doing better against Tank than Rolling was. So, hey, they both lost a world title fight. Both got stopped in a world title fight against Tank Davis. Ryan's very marketable. Ryan's coming off the first loss of his career. Rolly's coming off this full stoppage win. Big time air quote. But yeah, two young fighters, both lost in their first world title opportunity. Hey, fair is fair, bro. And you want to talk about, listen, and I don't like to curse on here. I'm sorry, but they fucked Barroso. Okay, so you did that to Barroso, and to get rolling this world title, you got him the world title. You did what you wanted. So go give this man the biggest fight that you can make, and that's Ryan Garcia. Period.
Yeah, I think
One of
Garcia
those two.
would be the fight to make. I mean, that's a fight that people are gonna tune in. They already have history, so
I'm gonna tune into it. I promise you, I'm gonna tune into it.
before we wrap this up, you said you got one more thing.
Yeah, I wanted to. We cover everything kind of sports related. Did you see that Ryan Garcia let go of Joe Goosen at his trainer?
Yeah, I've seen that it was a mutual agreement that they both parted ways.
Yeah, that's something I just wanted to touch on. Um, I don't know why they parted ways. Uh, from what I hear, Ryan's dad has a big has a lot to do with his career behind the scenes. One thing I don't like, you know, I'm going to bring up Teofimo Lopez for example. Teofimo was a talented guy, always been talented. And look, I'm not saying that Ryan's in the same boat. It's not what I'm saying. I don't know. You hardly ever see his dad. But Joe Goosen is a world class trainer. Okay. And kind of from what I gathered on the internet and social media, Ryan's dad kind of was in Joe Goosen's ear during camp saying do A, B, C, and D. Okay. Now, when you hire a trainer, and it's like you're a trainer. Okay.
Right.
Now I'm gonna ask your opinion on it. When you hire someone to train you, the trainer's job is to get the fighter ready to fight, to the best of their ability. That's the trainer's job, correct?
Right.
The manager's job to get this fighter the most exposure, to help him with sponsors, to tie up any loose ends, to make sure he gets the right fights lined up. That's the manager's job. If you hire a coach to coach you and a manager to manage you, if you got those guys under contract with you, but at the same time, you got somebody that's coming behind and telling the coach how to do his job, well, the coach don't need to be in there.
Well,
If you hire somebody, huh?
keep going.
If you hire a coach to coach the fighter, let the coach do his job. If you hire a manager to manage the fighter, let the manager do their job. Like Teofimo's dad, for instance. Teofimo's dad trains Teofimo. But I think he needs to let someone else train his son because he's putting so much stock in his son. He's putting so much pressure on his shoulders and hyping him up and not taking the initiative to do what he has to do with his son. I think when you have a guy like Joe Goosen, who's a world-renowned trainer, working with your son, let Joe get out of his way and let Joe Goosen do what he got to do.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know,
you're the thing is a guy like Ryan Garcia, a guy like uh Tiafimo, they've been trained by their dad the whole time. So there's a level of comfortability there. There's a way of doing things a certain way for a long time. And when you bring in a guy like Goosen is a guy that I mean, look at Tank for example. Tank's been with his coach since, a kid. They have a system in place.
exactly.
He's
Mm-hmm.
not a yes man. You could tell he respects his coach and is gonna do whatever he says. You know what I'm saying? There's that level of respect. With Goosen, he don't really know Goosen, like talking about it when it comes to their chemistry.
I get it. I
You know,
get it.
they're only a couple fights in it. And I seen Goosen say that. Ryan's the guy that you don't just, because when we see Ryan, we see fundamental mistakes that he could fix, but it's almost too late to fix it if you're used to fighting 20 plus professional fights like that. And a guy like Goosen said that, you don't train a guy like Garcia, you collaborate with him. And that's his way of saying he doesn't have full control. And if you're a Hall of Fame coach like Goosen and you don't have full control and doesn't work at the biggest fight, you get your payday and you dip, man. Because I mean, you're just wasting your time after that.
Oh yeah, 100%. And listen, I understand his dad has been coaching him his whole career. Just like shout out to Coach Calvin, man. I don't even Calvin's cool. Javante Tank Davis is fan. Coach Calvin. Never met Coach Calvin in my life, but I like Coach Calvin. Uh, yeah. But when you got a guy, okay, like you said, Tank's been with Calvin his whole career. But guess what? When there's a fight going on, Coach Calvin got him. You understand? They don't have nobody else in his corner to tell Calvin Ford what to do. You understand? Here, Tank Davis and Calvin on the same sheet of music. Now Ryan and his dad been working together his whole career. What was the point in hiring Joe Goosen if you should have just stayed with his dad? You understand what I'm saying? In my opinion, if you want to stay with your dad, stay with your dad, but don't hire somebody else. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean
You get
it's
what I'm
it's
saying?
gonna work or it's not gonna work. And the only time I see it working, look at Devin Haney's dad, is working with them because Devin Haney's dad allows him to work with other trainers, not just have one trainer training them the whole time. He's just taking from everybody. And his dad is putting an initial game plan structure and things. But his dad's not a guy who's like really vocal or like showing out or nothing like that. He's a smart businessman. He learned
Exactly.
uh,
He's just staying quiet behind the scenes.
right, which is what you're supposed to do, man. So in some cases it works, in some cases it doesn't. Um, if you're looking for guys like Joe Goosen to do the job for you, that lets you know that let that man do his job, man.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yep, yep. So we're gonna wrap this episode up, man. We covered everything that happened this weekend. MMA, boxing wise, we're gonna be covering the events coming up this week. We got quite a few, and we'll also have some interviews. So like, subscribe, comment. Harley, you got anything before we go?
No, man. Again, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for support, for continuing to support the podcast. Um, we'll have this interview episode, this podcast up soon. All we ask you to do is like and subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Flash Out Media. Until then, we'll see you guys later this week.